Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at some really powerful ideas where, ancient stories meet questions of ultimate value.
Yeah, we've got some fascinating source material, excerpts from pieces like Radiant Moses and the Kingdom's Treasure and Seeking God's Kingdom, the Ultimate Treasure.
Right. So our mission today is to explore what happens in these, divine encounters, how revelation changes people, and what this thing called the kingdom of heaven is really worth.
That ultimate treasure idea.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with that incredible scene from Exodus. Moses coming down Mount Sinai, holding the tablets, and his face is literally glowing, radiant. And the text says he didn't even know it.
He had no idea. It's quite something. And think about the reaction, Aaron. The Israelites, they were afraid, genuinely scared to come near him.
Just of the radiance, it wasn't just like a little bit bright.
No, it seems it was overwhelming. This wasn't just a physical thing, right?
Yeah.
It suggests his time with God left this visible mark, this almost tangible sense of holiness or glory about him.
It makes you wonder what that says about the lasting impact of being truly in God's presence. It's not fleeting.
Absolutely. It's sustained. It points to a real transformation, something that radiates outwards.
Yeah.
And their fear. Maybe it's awe. Maybe it's feeling inadequate in the face of that kind of purity.
Yeah, that makes sense. But Moses, even with this barrier of light, he doesn't just stay away. He calls them back. He speaks to them, tells them everything the Lord commanded.
Right. He bridges that gap.
Yeah.
And then, only after delivering the message, he puts a veil over his face.
Okay, so what's going on with the veil? Why cover it up?
Well, the pattern described is really interesting. He takes the veil off when he goes back in to speak with the Lord, receives the word, comes out, face still radiant.
It's still glowing.
Still glowing, yes. Speaks to the Israelites, then puts the veil back on. So it seems the veil wasn't about hiding God's glory entirely, perhaps. Maybe it was more like a mediator.
A buffer.
A buffer, maybe. Allowing people to interact with the message, with Moses, without being completely overwhelmed by the raw radiance. It allowed for connection, for relationship, even with that visible difference in glory.
That idea of connection, of God's presence, it really resonates with Psalm 99 too, doesn't it?
It does. The psalm shouts, "Extol the Lord our God and worship at his footstool. Holy is he." And later, worship at his holy mountain. There's this call to reverence, recognizing God's absolute holiness.
It also mentions specific people, Moses and Aaron among priests, Samuel calling on his name, and it says God answered them.
Exactly. It highlights that direct communication. And then verse 7 says God spoke to them from the pillar of cloud. That's key.
The pillar of cloud, like a physical manifestation.
A very physical, very visible sign of God's presence with them, guiding them. Not just a disembodied voice, but God actively involved, speaking his decrees, giving his law, right there in their midst, tangible communication.
Which brings us to, an incredible shift in John 15. Jesus says, "I call you my friends, for I have made known to you all that the Father has told me." Friends.
That word changes everything, doesn't it? From servant to friend. It implies intimacy, shared knowledge, trust. God isn't just giving commands, he's sharing his heart, his Father's plans.
He's making things known in a deeply personal way.
Yes. It's a profound invitation. What does it mean to be let in on the family secrets, so to speak? To be treated not just as a follower, but as a confidant. It reframes everything about that relationship.
So if God reveals himself, makes himself known, calls us friends, what's the ultimate thing he reveals? What holds the most value? And this is where Jesus' parables in Matthew 13 just hit so hard.
They really do. They're short, but incredibly potent.
First, the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure buried in a field. A person finds it, hides it again, which is interesting, and then out of joy goes and sells all that he has and buys that field.
All that he has. That's the kicker.
And then right after, almost the same idea. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant searching for fine pearls. Finds one amazing pearl, a pearl of great price, and what does he do?
Same thing. Goes and sells all that he has and buys it.
Selling everything. Why such an extreme total action? What's the message here?
I think it gets right to the heart of value. What is truly worth everything? Psalm 73 asks that piercing question. Whom have I in heaven but you? And earth has nothing I desire besides you.
That really sets the stage.
It does. It suggests that compared to God, everything else just fades. One of our sources puts it beautifully, calling the kingdom of God the greatest treasure we can ever find, worth more than anything we possess. It's a complete reordering of worth.
And crucially, the parable says the person sells everything out of joy. It's not reluctant sacrifice.
Exactly. That joy flips the script. It's not about what you're losing. It's about the sheer, overwhelming value of what you're gaining. It's an ecstatic discovery.
So encountering this treasure, this kingdom, this relationship with God, it naturally makes everything else seem less important.
That's the idea. As the reflection piece says, discovering Jesus' love should move us to reorder our lives around him completely. Why? Because when we truly encounter the richness of God's grace, nothing else compares.
It's not just that the kingdom is valuable, it's that its value eclipses all other values.
Precisely. It redefines value itself. Selling everything isn't a painful loss. It's a joyful liberation. You're letting go of the temporary, the less valuable, to make room for the eternal, the infinitely precious. It's about prioritizing what lasts.
Wow. What a journey we've taken in this deep dive from, Moses' radiant face showing the sheer impact of God's presence.
A transformative power.
Right, all the way to these parables showing the kingdom as this treasure that demands but also joyfully inspires, giving up everything else.
It paints a picture of something so compelling, so valuable, that holding on to lesser things just doesn't make sense anymore.
It definitely leaves you thinking.
It really does. And maybe the challenge for all of us listening is to consider what temporary things, what lesser treasures might we be holding on to, things that perhaps without us realizing are keeping us from making more room for what's truly eternal and incomparably valuable.
What could we maybe let go of today? That's a powerful question to end on. Thank you for joining us on The Deep Dive.